You're listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, featuring senior retail executives and experts in the global convenience and mobility industry.
Welcome to the Future of Convenience podcast. I'm Carolyn Schnare, and today we're recording at the world-famous NACS show, where I've got experts from all arenas here in convenience. And on this episode, we're going to talk about this amazing event, but most especially customer experience.
Hey, it's Carolyn, and I have a quick message from our sponsor before we get started. You may have noticed at NACS that Invenco looks a bit different. They're entering a new chapter that is powered by Vontier. As a member of Team Vontier, Invenco is part of a strong portfolio of brands that this industry knows and trusts, powering the way the world moves and partnering with customers to ensure they have the right integrated solutions across the mobility ecosystem. Invenco just announced that their 2026 U.S. Retail Technology Conference will be taking place May 11 through 14 in sunny Tucson, Arizona. I had the pleasure of attending RTC this year in Chicago, and I can tell you this is a great conference. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned veteran in the industry, this event will give you insight into what you need to be thinking about today to propel your business forward for the journey ahead. I hope to see you there. Visit rtc.invenco.com to register.
So I'm here at the NACS show in Chicago, and I'm sitting next to my friend Chase Smith, who is the Principal Client Advisor with Retail Insight, and we're going to host this show. We're going to have a great time, so thank you for joining me, Chase.
Yeah, thanks for letting me on. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, we've been on some road trips together. We've done some store tours. We've been in a cornfield in the middle of Amish country, Pennsylvania, so this is a little busier here.
Yeah, a lot more busy than the Amish country in York.
That was fun, though. So, Chase, we're also joined by our guest and my good friend of many years, Derek Gaskins, who is the head of guest experience for BP. And Derek's been on the show before, but he's got a brand new role, so we're going to hear about that. So thank you for joining me.
Excellent. Thank you for having me, first and foremost.
Of course.
It is many years. So.
Yeah, we won't count because we were like,
them.
interns back then.
Exactly,
and we were
right.
kids. So, like I said, this isn't your first time on the show. We go back, decades, plural, back when we used to work at NACS together. And since then, you've done many roles in retail before, after, in the middle of there, but now you're over at BP. So let's start there. Tell us a little about what you're doing there and what you're working on.
Great starting question. So, head of guest experience with BP, and fancy title, but basically what that means is leading merchandising, category management, food service. My remit also includes store design, construction, and flow. So that's somewhat of a new area. And then I have some forecourt responsibilities focused on the guests. So making sure the experience is seamless. I think BP, one of the differentiators, and you've heard me say it already, is guests. We don't call them customers. So leveraging the guest experience at every touch point throughout their retail journey and making sure it's as convenient, as seamless as possible.
Thanks, Derek. That's awesome. This sounds super exciting, and I'm excited to dig into that. And before we go a little further, Chase, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Retail Insight?
Yeah, so Retail Insight, related to what Derek just spoke about, we're focused on in-store execution, but it's a lot around the customer experience as well. So what we do is, as you know, in retail, there's not a lack of data. There's a lack of organization of the data. So we take the data streams from the retail customers and then input it to give them actionable insights to ensure that when a guest, again, I don't want to call them a guest, a guest comes in, they have the product that they're looking for. It's on the shelf in the right place at the right time, looking at it from food service, ensuring you have enough products in your store. So again, when you have that 3 to 5 minutes to give them a product, they have the product there that they want. I know for me, when I walk into a store, not going to name any stores, but sometimes the Dr. Pepper's not there. I know it upsets me because I'm a fanatic of Dr. Pepper. But in a nutshell, that's what Retail Insight does. Again, as a summary, it's just taking retailers' data and ensuring that you are able to have your shelves full and make the customers happy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're down in Atlanta, right? That's where you live, you're located.
That's right. I'm in Atlanta, and I'm actually excited. I read an article this morning that said AM/PM is going to open some stores up in the Atlanta area. So I have to ask you, Derek, does that mean that I'm going to have a chance to get some of that pizza that I had on the Monday's tour in Atlanta?
Absolutely. So short answer is yes. Longer answer is we have a pilot, and we've been working on this for several months now, but Atlanta is one of the markets that we've partnered with one of our largest branded marketers. And we always have a forecourt solution through BP and Amico. In the US alone, probably about 7,000 forecourts. But some of those partners need a backcourt. So simply put, The AMPM brand has been very successful on the West Coast, has one of the highest net promoter scores of any convenience retailer, and we're introducing it east of the Rockies. So we talk about it as a east of the Rockies expansion. Atlanta was chosen, one of our best branded marketing partners, and the jobber network that they have. We have 2 sites that are currently open, another 4 that are coming here probably by end of the year, and then really aggressive, bold plans as we look forward for growth. And that growth will be east of the Rockies, so certainly more in Atlanta and that DMA, but don't be surprised if there are other areas where you start to see that banner pop back up. And that banner being AMPM stores.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear that I'll be able to get the pizza. If you're able to bring a Super Bowl to Atlanta as well, that would be great. If you can do that as well.
We think Washington needs one first. So.
On that, yes, for sure. Well, you have Dr. Pepper too, because
Exactly.
I know he needs that as well.
Needs that. That I'll bring you.
So Derek, you talked a lot about bringing guest first approach. We talked about that. So how are you weaving in like digital tools? How are you making that guest feel important, welcomed, personalized maybe?
Yes, that's a Herculean challenge, right? And having multiple banners makes it even more so. So we have Travel Centers of America that has a professional driver as well as a motorist in terms of the core guest types. We have Thornton's that has refreshing rewards as a program, very personal, targeted, and that is also a very valuable loyalty program. We have AMPM that I just talked about that also has a rewards program and app and components and everything that you could think of. So the bigger challenge is how do you make that make sense to the guest so that they're not looking at it banner by banner and we can leverage the scale of global BP. So we launched Earnify as our platform, and it unifies all of it. And you can almost think of it as a house of brands or think of a pyramid where the umbrella is Earnify that sits on top. And Earnify will span from jobbers to branded marketers to franchises to all of our individual banners, but the guest is what they will relate to. So one of the big things we just did, Carolyn, and you are probably, like Tina, my wife, a big shopper. We partnered with Amazon Prime. And it seems counterintuitive, but with Prime, we were able to get Earnify and offer Prime members that downloaded that app, enrolled and shared their data, received $1 off per gallon at any of our sites around the 4th of July. We did it again about 2 weeks ago on October 3rd. So it's becoming a consumer brand. And I often talk about us being a house of brands, but we look at rewards and personalization through that lens. So Earnify, we expect to be something that unify all of the thousands of assets that BP has as a company, but also be a powerful tool for our dealers and our independents that they can compete and have what's needed to share their data and their insights to get lower cost of goods from tobacco companies, for instance, or to have things like order ahead and third-party delivery integration, but to be able to do it with 1 store or 10 store, or even jobbers may have 200, 300 stores. So it's a journey. We're probably, I'd say, a quarter of the way through that roadmap with a long way to go, but it's daunting. But when you look around the NAC show, we're also partnering with many of the companies here to further that aim and make Earnify a strategic pillar for BP.
It's awesome to hear too, the dedication to making sure the guests are happy. Hearing that you're giving $1 off a gallon is that's quite a decrease in price. So it's great to hear that you're giving that to the customers also and helping their journey too in the future going forward, because not only do they get the savings there, it's going to improve their overall journey in the store in the future as well, to get that data and use it to offer them lower prices.
100%.
So one of the big things we're seeing here is food service, and I mean, you and I, all of us have heard for years and years and years, food service is the future. And it's not the only, so it's an EV, it depends who you ask. Something's coming up, but but the big future is getting people in the store, making sure they have the supply, the items they're looking for in there, making sure but you got to get them in. So is that something you're working on also with BP to get those customers in the door?
Absolutely. So driving footfall, right, or traffic or trips. I would say at the highest level, that's the #1 KPI. So how can I get more from I actually talk about Carolyn since we were talking about C's, and I'll call Carolyn C and always have.
You got two CSs
Yes,
here.
we got the two CSs.
Chase Schnare?
But we have 3 C's that we look at. So it's how can I get them from couch to curb to counter? And so from couch, can I motivate them to come to the curb, which could be the forecourt and getting fuel or car wash and some of our services. And then counter, to your point, is inside of the store. So food service for us is a huge driver. It is our second strategic pillar. So there's Earnify, there's food service, and then the third is Epic Goods. So that's our own brands. Like Earnify is, it spans all of our banners. So we're working on that as a major focus. And then I think partnering with the big CPGs, playing off C's again, and trying to see how can we leverage their portfolio and products. So, Chase, in your case, working with Dr. Pepper and saying, can I activate something via Earnify that is going to trigger what should be an impulse or a convenience trip to be a mission dedicated trip of, I'm now going to leave my couch, I'm going to go to BP and I'm going to get something curb-wise with fuel, then I'm going to go inside and get Dr. Pepper and pizza from the counter and then go back home. Or can we bring it to them, right? In this era that we live in, I think as convenience gets redefined, in some level, you have to think about it. And Carolyn, you did nail it. The future has been food service for 20 years. But I always say it's more that there's food forward retailers, convenience retailers, and ones that don't yet have a food offering. So the food forward, they'll laugh because they're like, it's not the future. We've always been invested, right? Rudders or Sheetz or Wawa, some of those companies, they were about food before they were even about fuel. I think as the industry overall gets better with food, that's why you keep hearing it's the future, because we want to offset some of the declination and trips that are coming from fuel or more efficient vehicles or EVs and things like that.
Absolutely. And it's good to hear that you guys are investing in that food services. Again, 10 years ago, I probably would not have eaten at a convenience store. I wouldn't have stopped and got food, but now it's convenient because I have to stop and get gas. Hey, I can go in, I can get a pizza, I can get a chicken sandwich, whatever it may be. And one note just on the Epic brand, it is great to see y'all investing in that. For anyone listening, I would say to stop by and try the banana split latte.
Yes.
From the Epic brand. Absolutely amazing. Award-winning. Absolutely amazing. So, yeah, it is. I 100% agree with the food service. Being food forward is the winning strategy here, again, because you have the locations, and now it's how do we drive people in the store to eat that. And again, 10 years ago, I would not have stopped at any gas station to eat, but now it is coming where, hey, I can do everything at once. I can stop and get gas, I can stop and get my Dr. Pepper, and now I can get some food to go along with the road trip.
And I think it's the reliability factor too, as you're saying the same thing across all brands, the standardization and Chase. You and I have talked before about that as well. Like you know what you want to see. You want to see it in there, and it actually needs to be there, right? Like so you have to not only like tell them about that promise, but fulfill it consistently. I remember you said that before on our other shows that we've had.
Another C, consistently.
Consistency.
But yeah, so when a client goes in, again, it's 3 to 5 minutes to make sure they have what they need.
Yeah.
From a retailer's perspective, you don't want to load the store down with a ton of inventory that's going to overload the back room or make the shelves not look organized. On the other side, you don't want to have not enough, because again, if you don't have any items in the store, if it's out of stock and an employee goes to stock that shelf, there's nothing there, then a customer's unhappy and then you lose sales. And then who knows how long you're going to lose that sale for. So having the items in the right place is important. And I think now, retailers can use AI to ensure that they have the optimal amount of products in store.
Absolutely.
To make sure they're not only fulfilling their customer loyalty, but also on their side, not having overly high carrying cost of products in the back room.
Yep.
So again, utilizing the AI to have the optimal range of products and as well the optimal amount in the store is very important.
Choice.
Exactly.
Also a C word.
Yeah.
Another C
All
word.
C words.
Love it.
So you said AI, and that's something that is just pervasive. Everywhere I go, I'm looking around me here at the NAC show. AI.
It's the theme of the show almost, right?
Right. I mean, I think that's it. Yeah. Right. But we have to do things in person. We have to do them ourselves, right?
Yes.
That's important. So are you guys using AI? Are you using it in your role to help with things?
We are, and in many ways, I always talk about what's old is new again, meaning AI is the name and the flavor, and everyone is obsessed with it. But machine learning, big data has been here for decades. And I think I've always taken pride as a retailer is that to your core mission of your company, Chase, we use data and insights, and we get more data than any other probably product, service, or offering that's out there, because we do thousands of transactions per store per day. We carry thousands of SKUs. I can mine that data and start to see patterns. That is actually, AI makes that easier. So now instead of me crunching spreadsheets and tying up the server and trying to do a query that says every time this product is purchased, what's purchased with it, AI allows me to get that within seconds. So how can I unleash it? And so to your point, Carolyn, that's how we're using it in the stores. Whether it's auto replenishment and ordering, whether it is giving our operations team the tools that they need, Chase, to your point, to not tie up the floor and back stock and things of that. Everything should be about being leaner, being quicker, and more efficient. So when we say we're guest obsessed, in many ways we want to make it easier for our team members in the stores to spend time with the guests. So AI has those use cases. There's loss prevention aspects, right? That's another area that I think within NACS has helped get more popular. So you have the Placer AIs and the in-store AIs and a lot of those companies that are surrounding us in the tech area that have listening devices. And it's not any privacy infringement. They're listening for patterns. They're listening to say, here's combinations, adjacencies. My team can then take that as we're doing planograms and lay the store out differently and say, hey, I've heard 5 customers come up in the past day asking about this new item that you don't even carry. Another C word, it makes them a better category manager,
Hey.
right? So yes, AI to me is more of a opportunity. With that, there are some threats. I mean, everyone has to look at it from that aspect, but I always say big data makes you better. And so if you can mine it and just do it quicker and more effectively, we'll become better merchants, better operators, and the guests will get what they want.
Absolutely. And just to build off that point too, with AI, you can't also go full AI where you still need a human,
the human element
behind
right?
it as well.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be, hey, everything's AI. So you have to have someone in the back, because as you know, the retailers know their stores, they know what's going on. There does need to be a little bit of human touch, but the AI can be there to maybe help where they don't have to crunch as many numbers, or
Great.
they don't have to read 50 reports when they come into the store in the morning. They just have a couple insights that are read to them and say, hey, here's the actions that we think will make the highest value add. And then they can have that human touch on like, is this where I should go, or is this, what is the human side of it? So 100% agree there with AI. Again, you're making the team members' life easier, but you definitely want to have them still able to interact with the AI in the store as well.
Oh, for sure. So a couple more questions, and before we wrap up, in terms of the guest personalization, I mean, you're using that for all the data to really learn who your people are, the machine learning, just digging in, finding out, and really just personalize that. Is that an important aspect of what you're working on too?
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, that is the roadmap. I always said that is the holy grail.
Yeah.
And if you play it all the way out, I mean, you can take personalization so far that everyone's price is different. Everyone's ads are different. You know, you think about the old Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report. I mean, that is the essence of what that was. And we're starting that journey.
Yeah.
And I think not just BP, but certainly we are, but I think everything you do, from your connected car to your experience watching media to Netflix or Amazon, some of the big apps and companies that I talked about, they're curating things, another C word, for you and making it more personal, more tailored. It just means I have data, which means I should understand you more. And then I can go from being able to predict to being able to prescribe what you want. And then from there, you're meeting those needs. And I think the holy grail being whoever gets there first is going to win.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, customization.
Customization.
Another C word.
The ultimate C word, right.
And convenience. So I guess wrap it up a little bit in terms of that. What do you, and I'm going to ask both of you this, but I'm going to start with
Awesome.
you, Derek. You got the guest hat now instead of just the host hat, Chase. So what do you see as the next frontier in marketing? Yes, food service, we've already said the futures, things like that, but is it extreme personalization? Is it sustainability? Is it connected commerce? Double C.
I know, connected commerce is a great one.
What do you see as the next big thing?
Yep. I think the hardest thing for us, and I say guest obsession, because if you really get to the core, another C, but consumer and the customer. And I think at the heart of everything we talk about It's how do I meet the customer and the consumer's needs along that journey better? That's always been a challenge of the past, of the present, I think the future. Any of these technologies, I think they'll all play a role. I don't think they'll come as quickly as we think. It'll be a little more gradual, which in many cases is good for us. But when you look back on things like self-checkout, right? Everyone was pushing back and it's going to disrupt, you're going to lose jobs, convenience will never need it. It took about 10 years. Now, people who invested early are like, it's actually helping. In my peak busy times, it allows me to get more throughput, to serve more guests, more customers, but they didn't lose jobs, right? They freed up the team members in the stores to stock coolers or engage and provide more hospitality. I think the connected car, in many ways, it's the same, right? Everyone's talking about the Tesla diner and that concept that they're building. And yes, your car can tell you, oh, you're 30 miles away, I'll get your coffee and your burger ready, and I'll pull up. But there's still a human interaction when you get in there. There's still that understanding. So I think all of those things, Carolyn, to the heart of your question, technology is going to drive efficiency, which should improve consumer and guest experiences. That's what it's all pointing to.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, you said it perfectly. Now, what about you, Chase?
Yeah, and definitely agree with the human aspect too. When I go into a store, I still want that human touch aspect there as well. So, but from my side, I'm going to make it about operations. And again, back to what we said about the data. In the future, I just see all of this data working together, not just at the inside of the store, but at the corporate level, at the DSD vendor level, where all the data is interconnected, where there is one dashboard where a DSD vendor doesn't have to be told by a store of where to go, or vice versa. It's kind of all connected, where you have the store members working with the vendors that are coming in, and it's all one. So again, taking all that data, organizing it into one. And I think with AI, it's possible. Now, again, back to our earlier point, I want to make sure that we do still have that human touch involved. But,
and the Dr. Pepper.
I think the AI will help organize all of it better for us, so we can have that one overarching dashboard where everybody can work off of. So.
It's going back to that working smarter, not harder. You and I lived that back when our NACS days.
Exactly.
That was a big thing. Well, this has been fantastic, as always, being with you, Chase, being with you, Derek.
It's great.
Going
Thank
back
you.
to our old roots. So this is fun. Thank you for taking time out of your busy NACS show. You get a chance to sit down for 20 minutes here, which is great because you're on your feet a lot.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks
you
for having me.
Yeah. Well, we'll
Thanks
do
for
it
having
again.
me as well.
For sure. So thank you so much for coming, and thank you for listening to The Future of Convenience.
Thank you for listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, produced by Dan Munford, Nick Scherzer, Jenna Ferguson, and Lorraine Evans. It is produced and edited and mixed by Carolyn Schnare, and music is provided by Jukebox Music. Learn more at globalconvenience.com.
Before you go, I want to tell you about a new exciting competition from Insight Research. I'm Ryan Ettinger from Invenco, and we are a proud sponsor of the 2026 Smartest Store in the World competition. Now check it out. This new competition is focused on the decisive adoption of new technologies. We'll showcase what best practices look like as the convenience retail industry tips from AI pilots to AI producers. This competition goes beyond a focus on the four walls of the store and looks at tech developments in the whole retail value chain. We are delighted to be working alongside Accenture as our knowledge partner. Compete now to have your store declared the smartest store in the world. Win recognition, press, and those bragging rights of being at the forefront as AI supercharges retail. Head on over to globalconvenience.com, search for the Smartest Store competition to learn more.